Okay, fine, I'm doing it, alright? Only took 15 years and change to get to this point. Truth be told, I was planning to do this the entire time, I just didn't know when I would actually have the motivation to do it. That and I wanted to ensure that absolutely everything from the April Fool's video I recorded earlier was a lie. It's actually a bit odd that I'm doing this now, where I'm almost at the peak of my being completely burnt out on anything superhero related. And oh, hey, yeah, Raven Software, I forgot they were involved with this. That's one of those companies I just forget about, and then I remember, oh yeah, they made a bunch of games that I like the Heretic and Hexen games in particular. Now there is an intro video that plays if you're just idle on the main menu, and I'm just going to cut to it right now.
They're called the Brotherhood. They have been our sworn enemies for as long as I can remember. Led by a madman who was once my closest friend. But now, a new evil has surfaced. One with powers beyond comprehension. And those we have battled against for so long will become something we never imagined. Our allies. The apocalypse has begun.
And so begins what will hopefully not be a 99 video long journey again. X-Men Legends 2 Rise of the Apocalypse. I've always been a fan of the main menu for this. Just the bit in the background where you have the Apocalypse Monument, and as you rotate around it, it goes through a day and night cycle. I always thought that looked pretty cool. Now I'm not going to approach this the same way that I did for the first X-Men Legends, but yeah, I guess you'll see what I mean as I go through this.
Amuse yourselves. Nice trick. What do you do for an encore?
Which way?
There.
Polaris. Polaris, she's been abducted.
Indeed, Charles. It appears we both have a grievance with Apocalypse.
And there you see the first major change. I am shutting the hell up during the cutscenes.
Nightcrawler, we've located the professor. It's okay to teleport in.
Will do.
Get him to the X-Jet, Nightcrawler. We'll meet you there.
As you wish.
All right, let's go.
And I am going to try and balance the audio for the cutscenes as well as I can. It's a little tough because some of the cutscenes in this game are really loud, and by the way, health and power pickup behind the starting points, awesome. And some of the cutscenes in this game are really quiet, so it can be a little tough to try and get that consistent between both of them. So welcome to the tutorial stage. Not quite as interesting as the one from the first X-Men Legends, but story-wise, it certainly serves its purpose. And here's a nice little thing. You can pick things up and clip it through the ceiling. And then it just immediately collapses. There are fun little things like that that you can do with almost every level in this game, particularly when there's a cutscene trigger. Oh, and a couple things I wanted to mention about the intro cutscene. Number one, I'm fairly certain that move Wolverine pulled with a single claw was a reference to the live-action movie. I can't be convinced otherwise. Two, Magneto's voice here. First X-Men Legends, he was voiced by Tony Jay, who has that unmistakable, really deep voice. Tony Jay actually died about a year after this game came out, so if he was in poor health around the time, that might explain the casting change, but here Magneto is voiced by H. Richard Green, who has a ton of stage, television, and video game experience. He's in stuff like Skate, Dragon Age Origins, Mass Effect 2. He's done some stuff with Dead Space and Metal Gear Solid. He's a very seasoned actor. Now, what I'm trying to do here is a conscious effort to play as every mutant in the group and not just stick to my favorites. Because usually I will just play as Wolverine and then bulldoze everybody. But making more of a conscious effort to show everyone off this time around. So when you start off, everybody has one mutant power and none of their passives. Which is why, at this point, Wolverine will not regenerate his own health. You have to activate that. Also, I'm doing some of my favorite combos, which are a particular sequence of light and heavy attacks. Just trying to maximize the amount of shots that I can get per enemy. Oh, this is something this game does as well, is you can like automatically distribute equipment among everybody, but I'm a control freak, so I don't do that. Back in X-Men Legends 1, there was a particular sequence of moves that I would do, which was practically an infinite. But as far as I know, that's not in X-Men Legends 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. And, oh, there's another thing coming up here where they make it a point to, like, really illustrate you gotta use like team members with certain abilities in order to access certain parts of the level. So here's Magneto, you flip the switch from behind the force field and you get some extra items. Now I'm not going to show this off every single time, because menuing can be pretty boring, but I do want to show something that I'm going to change under the AI menu. You can control various things that the AI will do in this game, and one of them is when they will heal. You can have them never heal, you can have them constantly heal. I set it to below 20%, and then keep them usually around the normal aggression mode. Sometimes if I enter an area that has a bunch of explosive stuff around it, then, by the way, throwing some gear on Storm, I will usually turn their aggression down, because sometimes if you accidentally target something, the AI will automatically think, oh, they want this destroyed now, and just run up to it and start punching, and then damage themselves when it blows up. But as for this, this is where they really hammer home having a variety of characters for your team. Something I got into a habit of doing at first when I started playing the X-Men Legends games was I just didn't have a huge variety of characters. I basically had nothing but people that could do long-range attacks, long-range projectile stuff. Like, I had Cyclops, I would have Storm, and any combination of anybody else that had just ranged attacks. In terms of being in a position where you're not getting beat up, that's good, but you need to have the utility of like someone who knows how to fly, somebody who can put out fire, somebody who can build bridges if you need them. And this game actually starts you off being able to do almost all of those just with the default group. Enemy-wise, there isn't really a whole lot to talk about here, because even at a very low level, like, you can see Wolverine is not struggling at all with these guys. And this is something else this game will do. There are stat points and skill points, and you can have the game automatically assign everything for you. But again, I'm a control freak, so I'm not going to do that. Now, I will show you just a basic level up with one of the characters. For the Wolverine level up, I'm going for Might, because that's another ability that helps to have, like, as soon as possible. Allows you to break through more walls, be able to pick up heavy objects, move them out of the way. Cyclops, I used to go hard on leadership, but I'm going to give him the Optic Slam ability because it's like a more crowd control centric kind of move. Helps like push enemies away if you really need them. Now, as for Wolverine stats, you can see that the stats vary a bit in terms of what their defaults are, although the stats that you saw for Cyclops are kind of like a default set. It's only really when you get to characters like Storm or Wolverine that have a very specific slant for their physical or mutant abilities that the stats really start to vary. So there are guns there, and that's this way game's way of teaching you can break through walls. Now, the prison guards are going down pretty fast, and some of them are special units that have extra abilities tied to them, and it usually has to do with some resistance that they have. That was just to demonstrate that a bunch of walls are breakable in this, but not all of them will actually lead somewhere. Usually you can tell by the mini-map, like when a breakable wall will actually lead somewhere. So with these guys you can see elemental enhanced, elemental resistance, but when you're playing as Wolverine that means absolutely nothing to him. This is something kind of annoying that can happen, is X is the button for picking up items and also moving to different areas. So if a piece of equipment drops right over an exit flag, you have to be careful, otherwise you won't pick up the item. And you don't have to do this. This is just me destroying the auto turrets out of spite. And of course, Magneto just wandered directly into the path of one of the shots. Little bit of carryover of the AI from the first X-Men Legends, unfortunately. Now I'm going to do something a little different with these voiced conversations. It may or may not work, your mileage may vary.
Greetings. This location is known as the Sanctuary, a retreat of Magneto's. It will serve as our base of operations while we're here on the island of Genosha. Several days ago, Apocalypse attacked the city of Genosha. Magneto and several of his people were able to escape, but the rest of the populace was trapped. After helping to rescue me, Magneto requested the X-Men's aid in freeing Genosha. I could hardly refuse.
Is this really a good idea? Having the X-Men and the Brotherhood team up?
Apocalypse is far too strong for either team to battle alone. I realize this is a stressful situation, but remember, thousands of lives are depending on us. We must learn to work together.
How do we find out about missions and get briefings?
Talking to people around camp will activate your objectives. To receive briefings, activate the mission computer here to my side. Right now, you should speak with Sabretooth. He requires aid in finding a mutant he had helped escape from Genosha. Good luck to you.
Now I'm only going to do that for those specific kinds of lines. If there's a character in the game, like a specific character who has dialogue listed for them, I'm not reading that. This is just something to keep those scenes a little more interesting. Now, since we have an extraction point here, I might as well show off all the different characters that are available so far, because you have a lot of options straight out the gate. But I'm not going to make a ton of changes. As you can see, there's still some characters to unlock.
Toad.
I am going to add Toad to the party, and the reason for that will not be apparent until the next video, because there's something pretty interesting about X-Men Legends 2 that I want to show off when we get to it. But as for now, let's get a little more intel from the Professor.
It's good to see you. I trust we're finding common ground with the Brotherhood.
I'm not quite sure about that, Professor Xavier. The Brotherhood members can be a little difficult to deal with. How did Apocalypse take you prisoner?
I had received a communique from Dr. Moira McTaggart requesting Polaris and I meet her in Madrid. Only too late did I come to find out it was a trap.
Any idea why Apocalypse wanted you?
His primary target was Polaris. I was merely an afterthought.
Why would Apocalypse kidnap Polaris?
I don't know, but he was adamant that she not be harmed. I'm almost certain she's in no immediate danger.
Why were you being tortured?
Apocalypse was determined to obtain information on Cerebro and the Xavier protocols, two areas I am particularly secretive about.
Aren't the Xavier protocols a list of all mutants in the world?
Yes, and with it, Apocalypse would know every mutant's strengths and weaknesses.
And their locations.
Indeed. And that is perhaps the most sensitive information of all.
Who is Apocalypse?
He was born over 5,000 years ago in Egypt and is considered by many to be the first mutant ever born.
He's 5,000 years old? That's incredible.
Apocalypse could very well be immortal. He's a metamorph, capable of turning his body into a variety of weapons. But what's most dangerous is his ideology. Survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest.
Apocalypse believes the strong should destroy the weak. This, he feels, would create a powerful civilization worthy of him to rule over.
Why are the Brotherhood and the X-Men working together?
Magneto asked for the X-Men's assistance. He feels Apocalypse is too powerful for the Brotherhood to defeat alone.
Isn't there someone else Magneto could go to for help?
Perhaps, but none he could depend on in the heat of battle. You see, even though we differ in ideology, Magneto knows he can trust my word, and I know that I can trust his.
Thank you, Professor Xavier.
You're quite welcome.
And from there, we can move on to a character I will forget exists until I have enough tech bits.
Salutations, my friend. It's most agreeable to see you.
Hi, Beast. It's good to see you, too. Are you the person we see for equipment?
Indeed I am. Through me, you will be able to buy and sell all manner of devices that will aid you in your missions.
What about health and energy?
I can acquire potions that will replenish both of those statistics.
You're the smartest X-Man, aren't you?
I do have a certain penchant for learning, but I don't know if I could really lay claim to that title.
But that's why you're in charge of equipment, isn't it?
Charles gave me these responsibilities because I have a knack for dealing with technical issues. But there are several other X-Men who could do that job as well, if not better than I. Forge is the first one who comes to mind.
What's a homing beacon?
Homing beacons are extremely valuable. I can use them to locate an important individual that Apocalypse is holding prisoner. But I require several of them to pinpoint the location.
Who's this important prisoner?
I don't know, but from what I've heard, this person would be of immense aid to us.
I'd like to see some equipment. And this is something that I can really start to get into later, but there's equipment you can purchase here. There's the ever mercurial grab bag, where
I might remind you,
it is possible to just
sales are
like
mine.
try doing that over and over until you get decent equipment. It's very Diablo-like in that regard. I will be selling off old equipment Beast after a while, and the main reason will be to take advantage of these training options, because you can really boost up some of your passives this way. Mutant powers not so much because some of them are level locked, but some of the passives you have early on can be incredibly useful and make certain earlier parts of the game a lot simpler. And of course there's a stash if you want to, say for example, hold on to a certain piece of equipment for a certain character, but usually there's not much of a need to do that.
Never thought I'd see the day the Brotherhood be working alongside you, X-Bukes.
We're enjoying this as much as you, Sabretooth.
Listen, much as I hate it, I need your help. A couple of hours ago, I went to Genosha to rescue a kid named Blink. But one thing led to another, and we wound up fighting a bunch of guards.
You've never been known for working quietly.
Shut your yap or I'll... Never mind. Anyway, during the fight, Blink was going to teleport us to the dead zone, but she got hit and disappeared without me. I wound up having to slug my way out of there alone.
And now you need us to find Blink somewhere in the dead zone.
Yeah, I do. Go see that mission computer if you want a full briefing.
Why did you try to rescue Blink?
What are you talking about?
Let's face facts, rescuing people really isn't your style.
Maybe it ain't, but I wasn't about to leave the kid unprotected. There's no telling what Apocalypse would do to her.
How did Blink wind up in the dead zone?
When I was trying to get her out of Genosha, a bunch of Apocalypse's guards jumped us.
And that's when Blink tried to teleport you to the dead zone.
Yeah, but she got clobbered by a guard. Next thing I know, she's gone, and I'm left there on my own. And let me tell you, the guard that hit Blink ain't ever gonna draw another breath without the help of a machine, if you catch my drift.
When did you first meet Blink?
I found her a couple of years back at some mutant testing facility. I was doing some recon work for Magneto. Poor kid was in a cell, all helpless and alone, so I busted her out of the joint.
But weren't there other mutants at that testing facility? Why didn't you free them?
She was a defenseless kid, didn't have no one to help her. Now shut up about it! You're giving me a headache.
What's the dead zone?
It's where the air fleets of Magneto and Apocalypse had their last big battle. The ground's covered with crashed ships.
Why is that?
Even though Magneto's aircraft weren't that high-tech, his pilots put up a hell of a fight. So Apocalypse fired off an EMP bomb that fried ships on both sides.
You're becoming a real softy, Sabretooth.
Don't make me hurt you.
Sabretooth has just informed us that a citizen of Genosha has escaped. Unfortunately, she's hurt, and in an area known as the Dead Zone.
Who is it?
A young woman named Blink. Sabretooth had gone to Genosha to rescue her.
That don't sound right. Sabretooth tried to save someone.
Don't think too hard on it, Tiny. 'Cause he wouldn't ever save an X-Man.
Question is, who's gonna save you, Bullethead?
Cut it out, you two. Let the professor talk.
Let's get one thing straight, Boy Scout. I don't take orders from you.
See? It's just like I told you, Psych. Juggernaut ain't housebroken yet.
Gentlemen, please, let us focus on more important matters.
Who's Blink?
She's a very gifted mutant with the ability to teleport.
So she's like Nightcrawler.
Only in the vaguest sense. Blink can teleport as far away as the moon.
Wow, that sure leaves the elf in the dust.
Did you say Blink might be hurt?
Yes, she was injured while attempting to teleport out of Genosha.
And that is why a team of you is needed to immediately begin searching the Dead Zone for this young woman. Good luck to you.
Now, if you noticed something weird that flashed for a moment during those cutscenes, that was the camera not being in position for the scene yet. And I have some screenshots showing it not in position yet. But we are off and running at this point with this game.
Why don't you get out of my face?
So next time, we will enter the Dead Zone. And until then, you can have this loading screen to sustain you, and this image of Cyclops leaning to the side, which amuses me.